It's your boy Glenn coming to you for the win. Yep. And welcome back to another video, you guys. What's up to all my travel crew? You know what it is, what it do, baby. We are out here today, and today I'm gonna come to you guys straight up with the video showing the signs that tell who of you should not be a flight attendant. Cue the intro. Alright, you guys, first thing I want to mention is we don't ever really have a set schedule. Like, I can show you my schedule if I was working the past couple months, but since I've been off on paternity leave, I can't show you mine. But all that it will show you is that it is different every single month. In addition, every week is something different. Like, I may have Saturday, Sunday off this week, but I have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off the next week, or I have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday off one week, or something like that. So the schedules are never the same. Even if you're doing the same route, sometimes that route is at different times during the day. So you really can't plan to be setting it all on a set schedule because it doesn't exist. Being a flight attendant is not for you if you like to plan. This one's pretty much going along with the first one of having a set, no schedule. The reason being is if you like to plan, things just kind of fall apart. For example, if I have my schedule set that they give to me, because our schedules come out the month prior, so I have my schedule set, let's just say for January, right? So if I have that already set and they give me my schedule, but then there's always going to be days open that's on there, I can tell you right now that I have these days open, but if a situation arises in which I need a few extra dollars for something, or I know that I'm going to work more, I can't guarantee you that I'm going to keep those days off to go to and do whatever it is that you may want to do. I gotta get the coin, straight up. So with that being said, I may be filling in those slots with a work trip or something of that nature to get things going. So you can't really plan on that per se. So if you have birthdays, if you have graduations, if you have anything like that, definitely tell ahead of time and we can do whatever we can to try to get those days off. But if we don't, because we're also junior in the flight attendant world, we may not even be able to hold those days off. So I can't really plan to say that yes, I'll be at your birthday, yes, I'll be at your graduation, if I don't even hold the days off. So that's one thing. Next, when working, you can have a layover on your schedule that you're supposed to go to, but let there be any delays, any delays for mechanical reasons or for weather reasons or just for any reasons, or the company just needs you to cover another flight to go somewhere else, you may not get to that layover. For example, if I had a layover in New York and I was like, oh, my cousin's out there, let me call my cousins, we can link up, I land at 9 p.m, let's go out, let's have a drink or something, let's do that, right? That may not ever happen. I can be on my actual flight getting ready to head off to New York, and we will land in New York, but we'll get a call or we'll get an ACAR is what we call it from the captain saying, all right, now you guys are working this flight to this destination and that's where you're gonna stay tonight. You know, it can happen at any point. So until we actually are off the bus, at the hotel, in the room, changed, we're capable of, that's not the word I really want to use, but that's the word I'm just gonna use, we're capable of being pulled any which direction. So you can't really plan to hang out with people in any place until we're actually there, because that happens to me more than I would like it to be honest with you. Another sign showing that this job is not for you is if you love consistency. Literally nothing stays the same, and I told you guys about that with the schedule. Now I'm gonna break it down a little bit more, just a tiny bit more with some other things. You're literally in different time zones back and forth throughout the day. If you're not just doing like a one-leg day where you go somewhere and staying, you're literally going, I can start in LA, then I'll end up going to the mountain time in Denver, Colorado, then I go to Atlanta and be in the Eastern time, then I'll come back and be staying in Chicago, which is Midwest time. All that can be in one day. So you're always switching time zones, so you never really know, well, you'll know because probably by now our phone updates the time zones. You are always going to have to adjust to the different time zones, so that's not staying consistent there. Another thing, you're staying in all different types of hotels every night that you have layovers. You can be in a DoubleTree, you can be in a Marriott, you can be in a Holiday Inn, you can be in the Wynn, you can be in the MGM Grand, you can be in the Novotel. There's all these different types of hotels depending on where you're going. Even in the same city, depending on how long your layover is for certain companies, you can be in two different types of hotels. So even going to the same places, you don't have consistency in going to the same hotel. You know what I mean? So like that, it even gets down to that nitty gritty right there. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. As mentioned before, in addition to the different time zones, it makes sense that you're just also going to be going to different states. Like clearly you're flying. Sometimes you can go up and down the coast of California, or go to one part of New York to another, or one part of Texas to the other. I'm just trying to think of big states right now that you would actually do that in. But more times than not, you're going out of the state, you're flying into another state. So you're not going to be consistently in one state. So you have to really plan for the weather in each and every one, especially during this time of the year where right now it's December. It gets cold in Minneapolis, Detroit, New York, whereas in Phoenix and LA and San Diego, in Texas, the weather's not as cold. So you don't have to worry about it as much, but you still want to always be prepared for it. So you just never really know what the weather's going to be like. Keep that in mind. Another thing that changes with this another thing that changes with consistency is the fact that you do not work with the same people all the time. If you had an office job, you go home, you come to work, you see them again, you go home, you come to work, you see them again, you go home, you go to work, you see them again, but not with this job. With this job, you see the same crew, the same core, depending on how many crew is needed for the type of planes you're going to be on, which is usually 3 or 4 people for mainline airlines. You probably see them for that 3-day trip. Outside of that, you're seeing different pilots, you're seeing different gate agents, you're seeing different passengers, you're seeing different people at the hotels, you're seeing different people at different food places that you're going to. Nothing is or was the same. So you are always seeing something new. You're never getting that consistent, like, oh, I'm gonna go to this store right here because that person knows my order because I come here every day. You really can't build that unless you're doing the same routes or something like that. But it still never adds up to where you can have a favorite person who can know your order type of deal. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not consistently there all the time. Another sign that this job is not for you is if you are huge on communication. And I say huge because you can be big on it but be flexible. So I'm gonna say huge on communication. And the reason why I said that, alluding back to the time zones, we're traveling. When you're in the air, we can't communicate with you because we're working. Not allowed to be on our devices. When we land, let's say I landed late, so 9 o'clock in LA, it'll be 12 midnight in New York. So if I land at midnight and I just finished a 3-leg day and I'm super tired, I'm gonna land, go to my hotel room and try to go to sleep. Whereas you're in LA and it's only 9 p.m. You're like, oh, but I really want to talk to you. But I'm like, oh, I love you, but I'm tired. I'm going to go ahead and go to sleep. I had a long day after I've already been through 5 states and 3 time zones. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's the case right there. If you're huge on communication, there's going to be some times in which you're not going to be able to talk to the person that you wish to talk to on certain days. Like obviously there's a little bit of downtime in between, but it might just be like a text here or there while the plane's on the ground and before boarding, or as you're walking to another gate. But it's some days you're really going back to back and you really don't have enough time to have a full-on conversation on the phone, FaceTime situation. And another thing is, once again, going back to the planning stage, if you had planned to have a FaceTime date with someone or another, then that could also be thrown off due to delayed flights or mechanicals or cancellations and things like that. So let's just say, I'm gonna keep using the same example. Let's just say you're supposed to get to New York at 9, but a delayed flight messed up the whole system and then you didn't get there until midnight. Now that whole thing is kind of the situation we're talking about, where you cannot just be ready and you're tired and you're delayed and you're dealing with passengers while you're on the plane because they're on the plane with you while you're delayed and they're asking you a million questions that you don't know the answer to, but it's still okay because they're going to ask you the questions anyway. That kind of situation, you'll be done. You ain't gonna want to talk the rest of the night and maybe half of the next day. So those situations do come up as well. Another sign that this job is not for you, and this one's pretty obvious, if you cannot live out of a suitcase. I gotta put this to the front. I like showing mine. Yeah, shout out to the frat. If you can't live out of a suitcase, this job's not for you. Period. That's literally what we're doing. You're always on the go. Here, there, here, gone. Somewhere else, there, somewhere else, here. Come back. You don't have dressers and drawers saved at every hotel. You need to learn how to book it and bag it and roll it and tag it and get out. You have those quick layovers where you just take it off, get in the shower, lay down your clothes on the bed, or most hotels give you 2 beds, or most people hang it up, but I lay it on the bed because I don't feel like hanging up when I get into hotels, so I'll be that tired, or I'll be ready to go out and I ain't got time to be sitting there taking my time hanging stuff up. So if I have 2 beds, I lay my work clothes out on the bed, I sleep in the other one, and then I wake up in the morning, I'll just be ready to go. Another sign that being a flight attendant is not for you is if you can't stand being away from loved ones. As I just mentioned not too long ago, the average trip is a 3-day trip. I'll put it that way. Because we have 1-day trips through 5-day trips, but the average trip is around 3 days. So if you can't stand being away from your family for 2 nights and 3 days at a time, sometimes you'll be gone for 3 days, have 1 day off to be at home and then be gone the other times. Or like for us, and this is an extreme case that I actually had to do at one point, I was away from my wife and kid for 17 days straight. That was hard for all of us involved. So like, it's give and take with this job. This job is not for you if you can't handle it, you know, and that was a stressful situation for us, but we handled it because, you know, I had to work, I had to bring in the money, so that's what we're doing. I had to do it because we had things and events and babies coming up. That was all because of Grace, and I had to do that. So anyway, y'all know what I'm saying? Like, situations arise where you need to know if you can handle being away from your loved ones for a certain period of time. Another sign that this job is not for you is if you love getting at least 8 hours of sleep, because that doesn't really exist with this job. Our minimum layovers are like, they just changed it to where it's like 10 hours. But if you think about it, you get off the plane, you get to the hotel. By the time you get there, it's probably already 9 hours. Then you got to actually wind down and shower and stuff. But then you got 8 hours. And then you'll probably try to go to sleep. But then you got to get ready in the morning to get up early before pickup. So then you're really only getting like 6 to 7 hours. So if you absolutely need or desire 8 hours or more of sleep, this job is not for you, player, because it ain't gonna happen. It is really not gonna happen. Another sign that this job is not for you is if you're not comfortable playing hide and seek in the airports. Then I say this, I'm saying this because when you're flying all day and you're serving passengers all day, when you do have a sit somewhere, a sit is what most of civilians call a layover, but a sit is when you have to spend an hour or 2 or more in the airport in between flights. You want to go ahead and like get some food and kind of relax and rest without people asking you questions. Thus, we're playing hide and seek. Or maybe it's just tag and never be found, because we want to get our food high and find an empty gate where no one's sitting, or find a little cut where no one can see you. Just relax, our earphones in, you know, eat our food, watch a show, or just talk with our colleagues about how stressful the last flight was, something like that. But we don't want to be bothered with questions about passengers at that point. So if you're not comfortable playing hide and seek in the airport, this job is not for you. Another sign that this job is not for you is if you're a homebody. Duh, come on now. If you need to be home every night and sleep in your bed every night, this job is not for you. As you can see, that don't happen. Really be gone all the time. So think about it. Some people really desire to be a flight attendant because they want the flight benefits and they want the flight life and they want to be able to go places for free and they want to be able to go international for super cheap in the first class section of the plane, which is amazing. I'm not gonna lie. That perk's awesome. But when you're actually doing the job, you have to be able and willing to sacrifice not being home in that bed. And yeah, everyone loves their bed. They got their sweet spots, but yeah, you'll start to love other beds if this is the job you have to do. Or you just find yourself adjusting and being able to just fall asleep in different places without any problems, because that's literally what we have to do. It's crazy, huh? Another sign that you should not be a flight attendant is if you cannot handle the stereotypes that come along with it. People say, I'm not saying everyone, people say that flight attendants have a boo or person or a special person in every city or every state that they go to. It's not true. Like I said earlier, most situations, flight attendants are so tired after our trips, we go to bed. Or if you're like me, you will like hang out for a little bit with your crew and then talk to my wife or your husband in any situation for a little bit and then go to bed. But it's not like we got time to be out there looking for people just to have fun with on every layover. That situation is just a false accusation. Everybody doesn't do that. And another sign that this job is not for you. And this one is iffy because most people don't have a problem with this, but there are some people out there. If you don't like to experience new things, don't even apply. Don't even look at a website. Don't even look at an airplane. Don't even look at anything involving adventure or going somewhere. If you do not like to experience new things, don't even think about it. This is not for you, because that's literally what you're doing. Even if you've been someplace before, you're gonna find something new there that you didn't even notice. That happens with me. Every time I go to Missoula, Montana, I find something new. I still do the same hike to the M, but I end up seeing or doing something different in that town because, you know, as I mentioned, I would never go to Missoula, Montana if it wasn't for this job. But now that I've been there, I'm starting to find certain things that are pretty cool out there. You know what I'm saying? So certain situations like that, if you're not open to adventure or experiencing new things or new weather or whatever the case may be, this ain't for you, player. Just to wrap things up, the flight attendant life isn't for everyone. That's why there's a million, bazillion, gazillion, papillion, billion other jobs and careers out there that you can do. But with this one, sometimes you just gotta go with the flow. So if any of these things don't apply to you, then you could be on the right track to becoming someone who could be suited to be a flight attendant. And I'll think about doing a video that will show signs that you should be a flight attendant, but I'll only do that if it's not ridiculously similar to just the opposite of everything that I put on this list. So with that being said, I love you all, my travel crew. Gotta let you know once again that you have reached Glenn. Holla back at me again. Peace.